I have an old Ryobi spindle sander, and I don't have but two mandrels for it. I've got a 2-inch and a 1-inch. But I needed some finer sanding sleeves. So I was going to order some, and I thought, well, I'll just make one or two. These are the ones I've got. I think they're 80 and 100 grit. I need some finer to cut the wings on these guitar bridges for making this scoop. And it's a bit coarse with these. Too many sanding scratches. So now that I've cut the actual bridge out of Indian rosewood, these are walnut for practice, I want this to be smooth. So I figured I'd just make my own. I have plenty of this 220 grit 3-inch sanding belt for my drum sander, and it's fairly thick. I don't know if it's as thick as these, so I decided I would use a backer. So I made one, and it came out pretty nice. It works. So I thought I'd do a video and show how I made them. This is what I used to make this one. I used a file folder for backing, 8.5 by 11. I think this is 24-pound paper, just for a template. Masking tape, scissors, aviation snips. Best way to cut the heavy sanding belt. These are right-hand cut. Rubber bands, binder clips, parchment paper. Free tip, if you're using wax paper to keep glue off of things, you'll do far better to use parchment paper. Glue goes right through wax paper, but it doesn't through parchment paper. I'm going to use poster board for the backer on this one. This is premium poster board, 22 by 28 inches, and just so that we'll know, it is about 18 thousandths thick. This is 11 thousandths. I don't know that that makes a difference. This feels about the same as these factory ones, but this has a crease in it, and that has to be in here to get a piece long enough. I don't think it's going to affect the sanding, but I'd rather not have it. So I'll use the poster board. You can cut the backer however you want. I have a self-healing cutting board or mat, and I find it pretty easy to cut stuff like this with a rotary knife, and I also find it easier to push rather than pull. When I pull, I tend to get off of the straight edge. Maybe that's just me though. And I'm cutting this 3 inches, which is the width of my sanding paper or sanding belt. The way I made the template was to take a piece of 3-inch paper, and I just basically laid it on to follow this line, and then trimmed it to fit once I I got the length correct, but I use the binder clips to hold it in place, and that gets it pretty close. Because I made the template a little bit oversized in length, it's not critical, I wouldn't think, it's not critical that these cuts be perfect, because they're going to hang over the ends, and I'll trim the whole thing afterward. To keep anything from sticking to my mandrel, I use the parchment paper wrapped on this. I'm using 5-minute epoxy because that's what I've got. I think 30-minute epoxy might be better. And I have a tooth spreader, but I don't know where it is, so I'll do it this way. Yeah, I got epoxy on it. Which also means I'm gonna get it on my hands. I think it's funny, the first one I did, I didn't make a mess at all. And I wore gloves. And I'll let that sit for a couple of hours. Okay. Well, it's been a couple of hours, so I'll pull these off. I know one of them I got a little too much epoxy on the outside. I'm not sure that's really going to affect it a lot. It may just pop right off once I start sanding. The nice thing about using the white backer is that I can put the mandrel in and mark around the inside so that it's easy to trim. All right, let's try them out. first test it has to pass is that it needs to be tight. So if I've made them too loose, I don't think I'll be able to tighten it up sufficiently to keep the drum from spinning on the mandrel. Well, that feels pretty good. I'm going to say that's a success. That works pretty good. It's got a tiny area here that doesn't. It's either low or there's a bump in front of it. I can't really feel it when it's going around. So I'm going to call that pretty good. A success. A good DIY project. I needed sanding sleeves. I didn't have to order them. I made them with what I had. Didn't really spend any money. I'd call that a success. I think if I make them again, I'll get a long 2-inch dowel or rod or plastic PVC or something and just wrap it continually. Get some 30-minute epoxy instead of 5-minute to give me more working time, and then just slice them off instead of making them one at a time. Anyway, hope this is a project you can use or something you got out of it was useful. If nothing else, thanks for watching. Subscribe. More stuff to come. I have no idea what it'll be. Thanks for watching.